Alright, in this video, I'm actually going to be installing side steps on the Pilot. And for as much off-roading as I do, you may wonder why. Well, for a couple of reasons. One is that thing up there. So something that I want to get in the habit of a lot more is utilizing the roof of the Pilot. Certainly a capable vehicle for that, and when I'm out overlanding or camping, would love to have more room inside for things that are more fun, like extra pillows or more room for the dogs, or you know, a generator or whatnot. So in order to do that, I need to utilize the roof, and to make accessing the roof easier, I need side steps. So that's the reason why I picked them up. This seems like a pretty simple install, thankfully, so we should be able to crank through this thing in short order. And the only other thing that I'll say is this does decrease ground clearance by roughly about 1 inch. I do have the Nolo Designs lift kit coming for the TrailSport, which should overall raise the vehicle by about 1.5 inches. And in addition to that, it's also going to increase the approach and departure angles, which is what I have the most trouble with, not the ground clearance itself underneath. So obviously this will affect the breakover angle if I do put the side steps on. I haven't had any issues yet with the center of the vehicle, like I said, so it's just been going up hills and coming off of them is where I've had the most issues with the Pilot, which the lift kit will help alleviate some of those concerns, and the side steps will not actually interfere with that aspect. So let's get started, crank this thing out, put on the OE wheels and tires so I can burn through them, and then finish it up. So the directions are relatively straightforward. Obviously going to need a ratchet and a 10 and 13 millimeter open-ended wrench, and as well as sockets, some tin snips to cut underneath, a torque wrench, and then maybe a file or a Dremel. But basically you're going to take off some of the plastics underneath, which obviously there's a ton of clips and bolts here. Cut out a few spots for where the side steps will end up going. There's 3 brackets, A, B, and C, that go underneath each side of the Pilot. Once those are on, loosely attach the running board for the side step. There is an order to tighten down the bolts. They all start with the one on the outside of the chassis, and then inside of the chassis, and then the side step itself. You can see they're all the same in that order. And then basically put everything on and do the other side. Taking a look at the brackets in here, I was trying to figure out what A, B, and C was, but they appear to all pretty much be the same diagram. So, looking here, we can see there's A, B, and C clearly differentiated, so we can clearly see that this is C, and then the spacing between these 2 points here is a lot more narrow on B than it is on A. And so this one is much more wide than this one. So this is A, this is B, and this is C. Alright, taking a look underneath here, this is for bracket C, this is the back of the vehicle, bracket C goes right there, bracket B is right here, and then bracket A goes right here. So we'll put these guys on next. Alright, a couple positives for the TrailSport here is there's no plastic underneath here like on the other Pilots, so I didn't have much to take off. Something I wanted to show you though was in the directions they say to loosely attach the brackets to the underside of the vehicle first and then attach the side step. There was some difficulty doing that, and I'll show you how this makes it easier. So when the vehicle is sitting normally and the brackets are on here before you put the side steps on, it looks somewhat like this underneath the vehicle, right? Well, this lip right here actually has to recess in this channel. So because of that, it makes it very difficult to actually get this to slide in there and then have it in the correct orientation for the bolts to actually go in. So when you have it off the vehicle, you see you can slide right into that channel and move it right over to where the bolt adheres. Now obviously keep it extremely loose, but once that's in there, it's going to be a lot easier to then screw in the other bolts, and then we'll tighten it down and be finished. Alright, so now we're on, as you can see, we have all the bolts loosely in. We'll put these last 2 in right here. And you can still, see if I can pull this this, but you can still move the bracket very easily to screw in the bolts. And I just found it was a lot easier on this side to put the bracket on first. And then screw all these guys in. Alright, just like that, we are done. So a couple takeaways. One, it's always a good idea to find some sort of wire brush to brush out where the bolts went underneath the chassis, because dirt and grime can get in there and makes it hard for the bolt to actually go in, so good practice there. TrailSport does not have any of the plastic pieces underneath, so don't need to take those off, which means the only thing that you really need is a 13mm socket. Obviously I used an impact gun to kind of speed things along, but other than that, you may need to have a socket with an extender to get bolts or bracket C on, just because of where it sits. Sometimes it's not easy to actually get in there with an impact gun. So I ended up using a socket. I never needed a wrench. Basically, it was just the 13mm and that was it. So now that these are on, take a look at them here in a second, but I mean they're light, but they're sturdy. And again, this is going to give me easier access here to be actually able to get on the roof and tie things down when I'm out and about. We'll grab some lock hook so I can just get up here. And without stepping inside the vehicle. It's not as possible as I would have liked to do with the door closed. It's a good step to be able to get on the tire. But I don't know, we'll give them a shot. Let's take a look at them now. So taking a look at the finished product. So you got this big steel bar or pipe that goes along the outside. This is plastic, but it's non-slip, which is really nice. So when you're out in the rain, you're not going to slide right off of here. This has also got some texture to it, which is going to prevent you from sliding. Obviously it says Pilot on there. Taking a look underneath at the ground clearance. Yes, it certainly does affect the ground clearance here. Underneath. Probably about by an inch or so. So there's the brackets. Yeah, we'll see how these work out, and if they don't, then we'll be reselling them for a discounted price.